The key was still trembling in David's hand as he pushed open the door of the abandoned shack he'd bought to escape the world. The boards creaked beneath his feet, the smell of mold rising from the floor, rain dripping from a hole in the ceiling like a slow-moving clock. He had come here because silence was the only thing that didn't hurt anymore. But silence wasn't what he found. Somewhere in the back of the shack, beneath the sound of rain and wind, came the soft, muffled cries of a child. David froze. For a moment, he thought it was just his mind again, playing tricks the way it had ever since Rebecca died. But then the sound came again, clearer this time. Not one cry. Two. He stepped forward slowly, raising the weak beam of his phone's flashlight. Anyone there? His voice bounced off decaying walls. The crying stopped. He moved around a makeshift partition, and that's when he saw her. A young black woman, no older than 22, crouched on the floor, clutching two small babies in her arms. Their faces were red from crying, their clothes too thin for Seattle's brutal cold. The woman's eyes widened with fear. "Please," she whispered, pulling the babies closer. "Please don't call the police. We have nowhere else to go." David lowered the phone, stunned. She was shivering, exhausted, malnourished, but her grip on the babies was firm, protective. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Jasmine," she said. "Jasmine Thompson. And these are my sons, Kevin and Kyle." The babies whimpered softly, as if sensing the tension in the air. "How long have you been living here?" David asked. Her voice cracked as she answered. 3 weeks. After my landlord evicted me because he said he didn't rent to people like me. The shelters were full. I tried everywhere, but... She stopped. Fear pressed on every word. David felt something shift inside him. Something he hadn't felt in months. Compassion. Anger. A spark of life that grief had suffocated long ago. The way she held the twins reminded him of Rebecca, the way she used to cradle newborns in the clinics she volunteered in. The same fierce tenderness. "What about their father?" he asked. Jasmine's expression hardened. "He left. Said he couldn't afford 2 black babies. And he wasn't the only one. There are other people. Important people. Who made sure I couldn't get help anywhere." David studied her face. She wasn't just afraid. She was hiding something heavy. Dangerous. "What kind of people?" he asked. Jasmine finally lifted her gaze to his. In her eyes he saw something he didn't expect, not just fear, but determination. "People with enough money to make inconvenient black girls like me disappear. People who think they can by silence. But I kept evidence." Something cold ran across David's spine. This young mother was not simply homeless. She was hunted. He sat on an old box to be at eye level with her. "Tell me," he said softly. Jasmine hesitated, rocking one of the twins who had begun to cry again. "I was a nurse," she began, "in the ICU at Presbyterian Medical Center, one of the only black nurses on the night shift. And in December, I started noticing things. Strange things." David listened as Jasmine explained how wealthy elderly patients were dying at suspiciously convenient moments, always when inheritances were being fought over, always when wills had been mysteriously altered, always when the same doctor, Richard Blackwood, worked the shift. 3 deaths in 2 weeks, all with last-minute changes to their wills. "You reported it?" David asked. She let out a bitter laugh. "I tried. First my supervisor ignored me. Then the medical director accused me of imagining things. So I documented everything. Schedules, medical charts, audio recordings. And then one night, I caught Dr. Blackwood injecting something into a patient that wasn't prescribed. I recorded it. The next morning, I was fired." She swallowed hard. "A week later, my apartment was broken into. They took everything. My phone, laptop, documents. A clean sweep. Then they found out I was pregnant. The father was an intern. Blackwood spoke to him one morning and by the next day, he was gone, new residency out of state. Told me to forget he ever existed. And then I was blacklisted from every hospital in Seattle." David felt his fists clench. "You said you still have evidence." Jasmine nodded. They don't know I made encrypted backups on 3 separate servers. And 2 weeks ago, I found an online group of whistleblowers. I'm not the only one. 6 nurses in 3 states have the same story. David stared at her, the weight of her words settling like cold iron in the air. This wasn't an isolated crime. This was a network. A machine designed to kill and profit, and destroy anyone who got in their way. Jasmine, he said quietly, do you know who you're talking to? She blinked in confusion. David lifted his phone, showing her his lock screen, a photo of him and Rebecca smiling at a tech conference. My name is David Chun, founder and CEO of Technova. Net worth, $340 million. Jasmine's eyes widened. She had seen him on magazine covers. And do you know what the best part of being rich in a city like this is? He said softly, you learn exactly who the powerful people are. And Dr. Blackwood is not the biggest name in this story. She stared at him, breathless. Why would you help me? David looked at the rain dripping through the roof. Because 6 months ago, I lost everything. My wife, Rebecca. She didn't die in an accident. Jasmine froze. David's voice trembled. She was investigating corruption in the healthcare system when her car slid off the road. And guess what name was on the list of doctors she was investigating? A silence filled the shack. Jasmine understood instantly. Blackwood, she whispered. David nodded. And for the first time in months, he felt purpose. Over the next 2 weeks, the shack transformed into an unlikely war room. David brought satellite internet, heaters, baby supplies, even a crib. Jasmine helped feed the twins while David pored over her encrypted files. It was worse than he imagined. Pinnacle Holdings wasn't an investment firm. It was a criminal machine disguised as one, a network of lawyers, doctors, and businessmen who profited from the deaths of wealthy seniors. Every death was a calculated move. Every will change was a transaction. David called Marcus Webb, his most trusted lawyer, and Amanda Richardson, a former FBI investigator with a reputation for exposing financial crimes. When they saw Jasmine's evidence, both were horrified. This isn't medical fraud, Amanda said, scanning the files. This is corporate murder. As they worked, David received a message from an unknown number. Some investigations are dangerous. Stop now. A concerned friend. Marcus looked pale. They know, he warned. Amanda nodded. Which means they're scared. Then Amanda found the missing link, a photo of Dr. Blackwood at a Pinnacle meeting. Sitting beside him was Harrison Mills, the hospital's medical director, and across from them was real estate mogul Richard Vaughan, a man notorious for buying downtown property at suspiciously low prices. Amanda cross-checked property records. Every patient who died mysteriously owned land later sold to Vaughan's company, well below market value. David stared at the list of victims, heart hammering. This isn't just murder, he said. It's gentrification through homicide. Rebecca had been right. She had uncovered the truth, and they had killed her for it. Jasmine held her twins tighter. David, if they killed her, what's stopping them from killing us? Amanda stepped forward. Because this time, they picked the wrong people to threaten. David has money, connections, and absolutely nothing left to lose. For 3 weeks, they built their case, quietly, strategically, knowing that at any moment the conspiracy could come for them. And then, one rainy morning, they walked into Presbyterian Medical Center, David, Jasmine, Marcus, and Amanda, and entered a private boardroom where Blackwood, Mills, and Vaughan sat waiting, their faces tight with worry. Mr. Chun, Vaughan said with a strained smile. We didn't expect you. I'm sure you didn't, David replied, placing a laptop on the table. I'm here to discuss your future. Blackwood gave a nervous laugh. There must be a misunderstanding. David hit a key. Dozens of files filled the screen, videos, financial records, encrypted backups, evidence stretching across multiple states. Then he placed his phone on the table. If anything happens to Jasmine, her children, or anyone in this room, the entire archive goes public, automatically. Silence. Mills swallowed hard. Vaughan's hand twitched. Blackwood went pale. You killed innocent people, David said softly. You destroyed families. You killed my wife. His voice didn't shake. It burned. That ends today. The room fell into stunned stillness as the weight of everything pressed down, the truth, the fear, the power shift none of them were prepared for. And then David leaned forward. Gentlemen, your empire is over. And in that moment, in that silent, deadly moment, the entire future of Seattle's most powerful criminal network shifted. Not because of wealth, not because of influence, but because one grieving man and one young mother dared to fight back. The story didn't end in that room. But that was the moment everything changed, not just for David and Jasmine, but for the entire system that believed itself untouchable. Because sometimes the most dangerous person in the world is someone with nothing left to lose.